Today's video is the flight portion of my first flight review since my private pilot check ride. I'm going up with Joe, my CFI from UtahFlightInstructor.com. Before this video, we covered the ground portion of my hangar. We went over various things on a sectional chart, talked about the weather and airspace. When I was in Anaheim for Disneyland a few weeks back, I wanted to rent a 172 from Santa Ana and cruise it up and down the coast. So we used that as a possible scenario to test my knowledge on airspace and how to navigate that busy area. We also talked over some questions that I've had over the last couple of years since I had my private pilot check ride, which was 2 years ago this September. Today we're blasting off from runway 30 from my home airport in Spanish Fork, Utah. The wind was variable at 6, but mostly coming out of the west. You can see on takeoff it bounced us around a little bit, as well as on final into Provo in the end of this video, and also bounced us around quite a bit. I slowed it down to real time right here so you can see this beautiful yellow carbon curve come right in. We head over to the west of the airport and gain a few thousand feet of altitude. Joe told me he wanted to see some steep turns and stalls, so I chose steep turns first. They're probably my favorite private pilot move. I rolled the first turn to the right, which went really well. I was able to keep altitude where it should be, got the airplane trimmed, and let the airplane fly itself in a circle without having to touch the yoke. I rolled the wings level, then initiated a left steep turn, but I got a little overzealous and went steeper than I should have been, which caused me to lose a little bit of altitude, but I was able to correct that. Its plane trimmed out again and flying itself in a steep turn to the left. there was a bunch of traffic in the air that day, so as we went to go do some stalls, we got a little bit further south away from the airport to do our first power off stall. The first power off stall went okay. I got a little bit behind the airplane and was not able to hold altitude like I should have been. I was still within tolerance. Joe was fine with it, but after I do a power on stall, I go back and do another power off stall just to do it a little bit better. Here's the power on stall. It's surprising to me how little the attitude changes seem on this video. I realize there could probably be a better camera angle for stalls, probably in the cockpit, but I'm no cinematographer and I thought the views were great from out on the wing. But in my 172 on a power on stall, even at the bottom of the green arc in the RPMs, I'm pulling back on the yoke as hard as I can, really, with a lot of pressure in my hand. And all I'm seeing out the front is sky. So in this video, it doesn't seem nearly as dramatic. Here's the second power off stall. In this time-lapse section, we're headed towards Provo Airport, which is control. As we're losing altitude, we're also keeping distance from traffic. There are multiple planes around us that day. Usually when I depart Spanish Fork, headed to the north, I stay to the east of both Spanish Fork and Provo airports. Landing Provo, I always get a straight-in runway 13 or a left-down 43 wind 31. This time, however, I wanted to approach the controlled airspace from the west side and practice flying inbound that way. One thing I learned is where the creek is. I always hear on the radios the tower say, "Report the creek," which I now know where that is. It's about 4 miles south of the airport. One other thing I learned that day was the difference between cleared to land and cleared touch and go. It may seem dumb, but I had not realized that there was a difference. I was told that I was number 2 to land, cleared touch and go, but I said number 2 cleared to land, and the controller came back and he said, "You are not cleared to land, you are cleared for a touch and go," which then my instructor Joe and I both talked about how cleared to land is a full stop landing, cleared touch and go is a touch and go. He's planning on you leaving again, taking off again, which there was another aircraft in the pattern which asked to be cleared to land. He was cleared to land, he landed, took off, and the controller asked him nicely to please, if he's wanting a touch and go, request a touch and go, because in the controller's planning, he says I need to know what your intentions are so I can plan for traffic around you. So that was a good lesson learned. Don't get your hopes up if you're thinking you're going to see another landing. You're not. My GoPro died on downwind for this second approach into Provo. All in all, it was a great day, great flight review, great day flying, hanging out with Joe, great instructor in Utah if you ever need one. Glad to be good for another couple of years. However, I do plan on going up to Brigham City, and there's an older gentleman up there who has been flying a long time, has a lot of hours, especially in a Super Cub that he owns and rents out and trains in as well. So I'm wanting to go up there, maybe spend some time with him in my 172 just to learn from his experience, and then also take a tailwheel lesson from him in his Super Cub.